Men of Reddit, when was the last time you've cried and why? My marriage was on the verge of collapse when my ex-wife got a job offer in another state. She had been unemployed for some time, so she had to take the job. We decided I should stay behind since I had a steady job and divorce was inevitable. My wife moved out and the kids stayed with me until she got a home in her new city. Taking my kids to the airport and putting them on a plane to move away from me was soul-crushing. I held it together until they boarded. Once they got on the plane, I lost my shit. My kids only lasted a few months with mom before packing up and moving back to live with me. A couple days ago in the shower, the song "You Can Let Go Now Daddy" came on. My grandpa had an aneurysm blow and my mom sang that song to him when they unplugged the machines. It'll always make me cry. Walking into rehab when almost no one knew I was going. 60 days later I'm sober as hell and going to be a sober dad. I felt this one. Only some of my family knew. I just disappeared from work, don't even recall how that part was arranged. Congratulations on 60 days, that's a big deal. This internet stranger is super proud of you. Months ago when my best friend was found dead in his car after a week-long search for him. Turned out he killed himself. I lost a friend last year. I really do understand, it's a pain like no other. Every time I consider suicide I cry thinking about him and remember the pain it caused for all of my friends. My friend and gym partner killed himself on November 5th and I didn't know for a whole week. I was texting him daily things like, "Hey man, where are you at? Are we lifting today? Did I do something wrong? Why aren't you replying? Hey man, if you don't respond to this message I'm calling the police for a welfare check." And then a friend found the GoFundMe on Facebook. I cried so hard and loud that I heard my roommate approach my door to knock. He heard me through the door, and did a quick about face to retreat back to his room. Today someone approached me in the gym saying, "Hey man, do you know what happened to Ryan? He was in my class and just stopped showing up one day last semester," and I went full deer in the headlights before straightforwardly answering he killed himself, then returning to my workout to avoid the emotions and awkwardness. I started drinking at 8 AM today, so I got that going for me. I appreciate the concern and I assure you I anything but an alcoholic, just had a moment of shock. I'm going to take a nap, take the dog for a long walk, then get back to it as I usually do. Once again I appreciate those who reached out, but I'm going to be fine. Last year on my birthday, because I made it this far and some of my friends did not. We're happy you're here. I was tucking in my 7-year-old daughter a couple of months ago, and she told me that she was worried about me dying before her. I'm only 42 and healthy. So I had a conversation about how old I am likely to live and that she will be an adult when I die. Then she said, "But when you do die, will you help me, because I need you so much?" And I lost it. About 5 minutes ago. One of my nephews is currently in surgery for something his dress have never seen in a kid his age before. I just got news from my sister that best case scenario has happened, and they were able to take care of things. He should be out of the OR in half the time as was expected. So, yeah. Crying in relief at my desk at work. Going up to see him in a couple days. It's hard to explain what it means to have kids like him in your life. Edit, I just found out that he is out of surgery and everything was successful. Huge weight off my mind. Last week at our first ultrasound, wife and I have had 2 miscarriages and we had an appointment and saw the heartbeat. This little peanut has stuck around the longest so far. Fingers crossed. This last weekend, after a night of drinks, a very good friend of mine and I were ending the night at her apartment. We had been chatting for a bit when at one point, she redirected the conversation and began to beam about how she's proud of the man I've become. She talked about my character, how I treat people, and my habits. She told me there are things I do that she admires. Things that I've been doing for years, and that I thought no one noticed. It was a very tender moment and I couldn't help tearing up. I've never had a friend or loved one, other than a relative, say such beautiful things about me. Bless her soul, I don't know what I would do without her. To say that she's an amazing person wouldn't be enough. This morning, we lost a son who was born at 20 weeks a few weeks ago. He lived for 2 hours and died in my arms. Every time I close my eyes I see him. I know it'll get better in time, but for now it's rough. Took a small getaway trip, about 8-hour drive few weeks back due to stress. I played all of the songs I shouldn't play on the drive up and let myself unwind in the car and get all of that stuff out, job stress, feelings toward my ex, the whole gamut. Did me well. It was over the weekend. I was reaching out to a few different friends to see what they're up to, but everyone else had pre-existing plans. It hit me hard when I realized that I'm always making an effort to reach out, but I don't get the same in return. I do a lot of the work, and when I try to make plans, there's always something that comes up or they're too busy. Started to happen to me over the last 3 months. Now I'm just trying to be happy with myself and learn to be more lonely because I still can't understand what is going on. I always gave my best to make my friends enjoy being with me and make them happy, but I guess they just don't care about me. I had to put down my Australian cattle dog. It was just me and her for 12 years and then I got married and she got sick shortly after. Worst day of my life since my grandfather passed. Death of a beloved animal is so uniquely agonizing. It always feels like they should have more time. You'll see your puppy again someday. In the meantime, I'm so sorry for your loss. Last month, when my daughter was born. Congrats. Mine is almost 1 year now, and everybody told me I would cry when I hold her for the first time. I don't cry easily and was like, yeah, I will get a little emotional, not sure about crying though. I was pretty chill during the labor, excited and all, but when the nurse pulled her out and handed her over to me, oh boy. Some hormonal shit / parental instinct / whatever hit me like a train. I was sobbing in no time. Totally caught me off guard, and it was the happiest moment of my life hands down. Month ago. Was yelling at my kids because they were misbehaving and I put them to bed early. Broke down afterwards and cried on the stairs. Knew I didn't have to yell as much and said some unnecessary things. Wife talked with me on the stairs and it turned into a turning point in my life and I'm doing much better with the discipline. While I held my 4-year-old daughter in my arms and realized there was nothing that I could do to save her from dying from mitochondrial disease. I don't think I had ever cried so hard before or since. 7 years later it still haunts me, but time does make it less painful. That helplessness. The anger cry combined with the grief cry combined with the hopeless cry and the loss of the future you wanted cry. I know that cry too. It's a deep well in the heart. I'm so sorry about your daughter. When my father was so grumpy he kept on shouting at my mom that she ran out of the house with her keys. I joined her a little later outside and sat with her till she went home and then went to my GF and cried on her shoulders. Didn't realize I cared so much about Kobe until I stayed leaky-eyed for 20 minutes watching the coverage Sunday. They replayed his 60-point game last night on ESPN and I bawled my eyes out when it showed him winking at his family and smirking as he walks off the court for the final time. My daughter was born the start of last year. Think I must have cried for a solid hour. Get ready, man. I teared up last year when my son was born. Not a full-on cry, but unexpected emotions. Last night I was feeding my now 10-month-old, and he was in turn feeding my old Doberman, and it just hit me like a wave. Everything was perfect in that moment. My wife started crying because she had never seen me cry. Then my kid started laughing hysterically and my dog barked so loud that he forced a fart out. A perfect moment. If you like the content, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit the like button.